much food coming overseas. One disruption bring the country to knees. One storm, one war, one delay. Supermarket shelves empty same day. So we have to plant more yam and dasheen. Fresh vegetables keep the people clean. Raise more goat, more chicken too. Local farming must come true. Every backyard can grow something. Pepper, thyme and pumpkin. Teach the youth we love the soil. Agriculture reward the tile. Hey, if the import stop tomorrow, who gon' feed we through the sorrow? Dig the soil and make it grow. Food security run the show. If the import stop tomorrow, hey, who gon' feed we through the sorrow? Dig the soil and make it grow. Food security run the show. Food security, that's the priority. Plant the food locally. Feed the whole community. Everything agriculture. Building for the future. Hey, Bankie and Yahsonn bringing solutions for the islands and the nation. Cannabis industry growing fast, creating opportunities built to last. Medicinal herbs and business too. Education changing how we view. Greenhouse farming changing the game. Hydroponics helping the grain. Fishery, livestock, fruit tree line. Agriculture make the island shine. Support local every chance they get. Farmer working hard, don't forget. No nation strong if the people can't eat. Local food keep the country complete. Wave your hand for the farmers them. Wave your hand for the growers them. Plant more food. Grow more food. Feed the nation like we should. From St. Kitts straight across Nevis side. Food security must be the guide. Aye. 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 No country say without local crops. Never stops. Never stops. From the mountains to the sea. Farming bring prosperity. Food security. Everything. That's the priority. Plant the food locally. Feed the whole community. Everything agriculture. Building for the future. Bankie and Yahsonn every week now. Ren bring the real solution. Oh, yeah. It's everything agriculture. With Bankie and Yahsonn. Catch us live every week on Real Entertainment Network. Watch on Facebook and YouTube. Ren TV. Everything agriculture. Where food security is everybody business. It's everything agriculture. With Bankie and Yahsonn. Talking food security, cannabis, farming, livestock, fisheries, and everything agriculture. Every week on Real Entertainment Network. Food security. That's the priority. Plant the food locally. Feed the whole community. Everything agriculture. Building for the future. Bankie and Yahsonn bringing solutions for the islands and the nation.
Yes, greetings and welcome to the Everything Agriculture Show. It's another Friday evening. It's the end of the week. So most of you guys are tired and just relaxing in your own space. Some of you on the road chilling by a bar or restaurant, having time with the family, and some of you just here chilling with us, wherever you have to have on your device and tune into Real Entertainment Network. And to this evening, we have the Everything Agriculture Show. We'll be talking about pesticides. We have two of the top dogs from the pesticides boards. One we have Mr. Quincy Bart, and the other one, the former director of agriculture, my former big man in charge, Mr. Keithley Amory, one of the toughest director. Yeah, man, but a good guy. Definitely, we're gonna have some fun this evening about pesticides and the importance of that when it comes to food security and so forth. So let me say good evening to all those who are tuning into this show on Real Entertainment Network. Greatly appreciate you guys tuning in. As I say, you could be doing anything else. Let me say good evening to the folks in Ole and Liamiga, which is the indigenous name for St. Kitts and Nevis. If you're first time listening, we have this is an educational show, a community show where we educate ones and all wherever you are to the sound of our voice, because it's belong to the same thing. Agriculture, only for the main purpose, is for human sustenance, our liberty, our clothes, for fuel, our energy, our medicine. It's all about agriculture. So let's say good evening to the folks in the neighboring islands, St. Bart's, St. Martin, the U.S. Virgin Islands, Tortola, the BVI, also the folks in the diaspora, North America, straight up to Canada, also folks over in Europe. Greatly appreciate you guys tuning in. It's a different time zone. So I know it's difficult, but you guys stick with us regardless of what. So we really appreciate all those who made us and let us know we're doing a great job and keep up the good work. So you all do enjoy the show. And without that, you're the one who made the show possible and stuff like that. So we really appreciate the love that you all been giving us. And also let me say thanks to those who come out every day willingly to Manso's last stop and keeping my Uncle Manso's legacy alive, and Shabazaga next. Big up Amanis in the house, Chef Amanis, store manager. Aisha will come over on weekend time. And you know, tomorrow definitely have that shark and bakes. That's a special that we keep going in. So you can always get your shark and bakes at Manso's last up tomorrow for your breakfast. And then for lunch, you know, you get that caramel and fish with okra, your oxtail and caramel if you want with okra, and your chicken with caramel and okra, your choice, along with your own rice and salads and pies, and just great place to eat and chill with good company, talk and laugh and talk about what you want to talk. Just positive vibes. Manso's last stop. Come on out, check it out. If you don't want to be at the front, you just go at the back of the farm and chill, fry in your car and relax yourself. And it's all love. So this evening, definitely looking forward for this reasoning with our two guests. But before we get to that, let me bring in my next co-host here. Yahsonn, how you doing? I see you dodging up on me. Where you got on water? You carrying water or something? You went styling, man.
Yeah, greetings. If you're hearing me, you hearing me?
Yeah, man, loud and clear, loud and clear.
All right, greetings. Welcome to another edition of Everything Agriculture. It's a pleasure to have Quincy Bart and Keithley Amory here with us this evening, and we're looking forward to engage in discussion around the topics of pesticides and a number of other things. You know, they're all agricultural experts here. So, you know, if you're into the field of agriculture, it's been a while. You know, we have been more zoomed in a lot more the topics issues, but yeah, we can't give up on everything agriculture. So this is where it starts, and so we continue the journey, and we look forward to your, you know, involvement. Usually, you would make your comments via the Facebook or the YouTube wall and our Twitch, and you know, you'll be able to call in at some point as well and share your views and ask your questions if you have any. So we're looking forward to that interesting engagement. Bankie, you can continue.
All right. So before we get to the discussion, we'll start off with, we give the younger man a chance. Mr. Amory, you can tell the folks who you are, and then we'll leave the older one for Quincy. So you're the younger person in the house right now, so the respect is given to the younger one. So we can start off with you and let the folks who are listening all over the world, who is Keithley Amory and why he should be on the pesticide board.
All right. Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here on Everything Agriculture. And as Bankie said, this thing has been in my blood for not a lot of years. I've been trying my best to ensure that, as I said, food security on the island of Nevis was a priority and is still a priority. And I've been a member of the pesticide board for a number of years, from since around 2000, and there's been an experience for me because the food safety, even as much as we are talking about security, we still have to focus on the safety of the food that we eat. So it's very important that we, the general public, understand what is going on in terms of food safety, the health of everybody, and the health of the environment. Because when we are combating pests, persons think that you just spray everything one time, you kill everything, but it has an effect on us as the human beings. It has effects on the consumers, and it also have an effect on the environment, and all of that will inadvertently affect us in terms of our food security and as well as the trade that we may want to do with neighboring countries.
I mean, that's it. You not tell people you work in the sugar industry and you was the director of agriculture. Can you tell me? I mean, your whole secret from the people, man. I mean, help me promote and talk.
Yes. I mean, all right, Bankie, you're putting me on this spot. As I said, I've been
Of
into
course.
agriculture for a number of years. I've been within the sugar industry for a number of years. A lot of years, to be
Yeah.
exact. From the time I left school, I went straight into the sugar industry. You know, it was, as I said, agriculture is in my blood. So from there, went off to study, came back, became the director of agriculture from around 2000, 2003. I was the deputy director. And I believe I helped. I know Bankie was with me for a
You
number
do
of
plenty,
years.
man. You believe your helper. You do plenty, talk your things them. Quincy, man, a place I actually.
And
I mean,
I did
actually.
work, I worked.
And you're modest, you know, and
A
you're
lot
being
of,
modest with it. And you're being modest with it. And you're being modest with it. But it's all right. All the greenhouses was done under you of agriculture. Those big,
well,
let me
you
talk to you, man. Can I give you the talk? Them big greenhouses up
think
there,
about it,
as an
Bankie, the
example,
thing about it.
those was done
And I
under Mr.
know
Amory. That
the
alone make me not
funny
let you
part
say.
is that one should not blow their own horn. They have to let other persons do that for them, because
Of course,
sometimes
of
you may
course.
say, okay, I did this, but it's other persons
Yes,
who see what was going on and can attest,
yes.
okay, yes, I did this, I did that, or I screwed up here, I screwed up there. But in
Yes.
reality, I am still pleased seeing that we could do better because I was listening to a team song from you not too long ago, and it's a
Yes.
reality that as soon as hurricane come, the shelves them are empty because most of the
True.
things are coming from outside. And for years I've been trying to push that we have to get backyard farming. And Bankie, you know that because I'd had you
Of
at the
course, of
forefront
course.
of pushing
Yes,
home
yes, yes,
yard
definitely. Yes, yes.
to
No
get
space too
things
small.
moving that no matter how small the space is, that you can grow food from it. And I like the team
Yes,
song. I was listening to it
yes.
and I said, that's right on cue. And also, I guess maybe persons may have to be hearing that team song more and more and more, make it a road march for agriculture.
Wow. Well, coming from
Um,
you, that's a big thing because you're my
uh,
hard. So
it's good. I think that we need to, but again with that too, we have, and this topic today in terms of pesticides is what we have been showing because we don't know the pesticides that persons use outside there, the dangers they cause. And that is what the pesticide board is all about, to protect you, the customers, from ingesting dangerous chemicals and also to protect the environment. That's what we are focusing on.
beautiful. Um, Now we're moving over to the older one, Mr. Quincy Bart. So Quincy, tell the people a little bit about yourself and where your position is also within the agriculture sector apart from the pesticide board.
Yes. Good day, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Quincy Bart, and I am part of the pesticide board and crop protection and plant quarantine. But before that, I grew up in a village named Cox Village, where I got the art and the love for agriculture. I enrolled in the agricultural in school program, and I able to get a first-hand experience with agriculture, and my love for it even grew even deeper. I then
Beautiful.
went to the University of the West Indies, where I got my tertiary education, and I now sit on board of that pesticide and plant quarantine and plant protection.
Yeah, well, what position you held in plant and quarantine? You're the clerk? This two man you act straight for me this evening being mad and say, no, me not understand what there, yeah?
Yes, I'm the
Tell them,
head of
you're the top man in quarantine. You're the top man who run quarantine. And
head of plant quarantine. I oversee import,
good.
export of agricultural commodities, conduct plant surveillance of invasive species, and quarantine tests. And I'm the forefront and for the pesticides, making sure that everybody is in line with imports of pesticides and usage.
So more or less, folks, if you're gonna take out anything out of the countries when it comes to fruits or anything like that, Quincy is the man you have to check for. You're gonna import anything, he's the one that will show up when it comes to plants, material, flowers, whatever. He's the man. And what is your crew look like who work along with you, Quincy? How much people are working along with you in the office and in the field?
I got about 3 extra people working with me. One just migrated further in his study in the University of the West Indies, and I have two other ladies in the office that helps in plant quarantine inspections and other things.
Okay, beautiful. Okay, week starting Thursday, I'm attending a workshop held in St. Kitts, but it's a traditional cannabis. The government seem to be moving along that road. We want to issue to get into the cannabis industry, and one of the things we're talking about is new pesticides and all these things, because it's agriculture the same way, plant-based. So the question is to both of you, Quincy and Mr. Amory, why it is important for St. Kitts and Nevis to regulate pesticides and agricultural imports?
Let's say I will answer that question there, and Quincy can add on some touches on it. It's very important because, as I mentioned earlier, it can affect our food security and also our trade. We are signatories to a lot of the international pesticide treaties, such as the Stockholm Convention, the Rotterdam Convention, the Montreal Protocol, that controls globally the movements of pesticides, the type of pesticides that we use here in St. Kitts and Nevis and globally. Matter of fact, we don't have all the testing facilities here for those pesticides, so we have to depend on those global to show us exactly the danger of these chemicals. We have our own Pesticides Act, Chapter 918, which is the Pesticide Toxic Chemical Control Act of St. Kitts and Nevis. It speaks to the regulation, the importation, the manufacturing, sale, transportation, the disposal, and the use of the pesticides and toxic chemicals within the Federation. And it's not only for agricultural pesticides. Yes. It's for other pesticides, for spraying your boat. If you notice when you spray your car, when you spray those things, you can smell it for miles. And some of those chemicals are toxic to us. That is why we are trying to ensure that persons who even spray are complete with their mask and regulators and everything to protect themselves. And The other thing that we are looking at too is that some persons, you know, they do not have on the correct protective
PPE,
gear,
PPE.
the
Yes.
PPE. So we have to be careful with that. And being the director, I I had the unfortunate incident where the high persons from the Labor Commission in Barbados came here. I got that brought them. And the first thing, as soon as the guy reached up on the veranda, said, well, what's going on over there? He looked over in the field. A guy over there spraying, the mask is on his chest. His PPE is wide open. And here's the guy dealing with all the labor laws and so on about these things. And he called me and said, I know what's happening over there. I mean, I'm so ashamed to see this, but he said, but look at that. The guy has the mask and everything, but it's around his
But you have the
chest.
man. But you have the man, so he know
Yeah,
exactly what the
what to
procedure
do?
is. So he chose not to endanger his own self.
Endangering his own self. And then the guy is
Yes.
telling me, you see, there's it. When you know, and they get sick, they come in to ask, say, they want compensation for everything. And he said, look at that. I'm happy to see that they have the regulation, they have the tools for them, but they're just
Yes.
not used. And those
Yes.
are the things that we have to be cognizant of when we are thinking about regulating pesticides in the country. The imports and so on, when many persons will ask us, and I will get to that later down, is that, oh, I imported this and so on, but they look at it on the internet and they just pull something. But when you look at that, we now have to look at how is that pesticide going to affect us here? How is it going to affect the environment? And these are the things that we have to speak about. So the importance of all of this, where we have to regulate it, is that we are preventing toxic residue buildup within our bodies and within the environment. We also have to think about our aquifers. Our aquifers are high. A lot of people don't understand that our water table is very high. So if you're up in the mountains where all the water is being collected and you have runoff, that soaks into the aquifer, goes into our water system. We get sick, we don't know what is actually happening to us, but we don't know whether it's pesticide based. Unfortunately, I know the multipurpose lab in St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Kitts right now, is trying to get equipment to start testing the water for pesticides. And I'm welcoming that because it's something that we're hoping. We depend a lot on the FAOs, the European nation, Canada, for their testing of these chemicals because they have all the equipment to let us know that, okay, yes, we can import that or we shouldn't ask that chemical to be imported. Our ecosystem again, and you, Bankie, and I know Yahsonn knows this as the past teacher of agriculture, that when you have to think about a balance of nature, because some pesticides just spread them and it kills everything, the good and the bad. So we have to be
Yes.
controlling that. So we now are trying to get persons to understand there's a threshold that you can have where you need to protect. Say, okay, listen, the plants that I'm using, I have a threshold that the insects could deal with. But then after it comes to a certain way, you have other means and methods to do that. So we are trying to protect all of that. Keep the balance of nature, so to speak, in that respect.
I know you touch pesticides, but what about herbicides? Can you go around and see a lot of homeowners using
Well,
herbicides?
the pesticides, when I'm saying pesticide, I'm talking
Yes.
about insecticides, herbicides,
Yes.
and fungicides,
Yes.
nematicides, the whole range. Pesticides, we cover all of that. Um,
Yes.
I've seen persons, they're spraying herbicides and they're actually barefoot. They're actually walking back through the herbicide that they're using. There was one case in St. Kitts where I went on a farm and I was explaining to the guy because I note he had a worker there spraying. And I said, partner, you shouldn't allow that guy to be spraying like that. That I talked to him. And he
Yes.
related a story to me in which he himself felt that he could have gone spread because he just had a small area. And it's a good thing somebody was there with him. He said within 5 minutes he was on the ground. When the wind blew back it in his face, back, he was on the ground, swell up. And end up when he catches himself, he's in the hospital. So we have to be careful with the pesticides that we use because you don't know if you are sensitive to those chemicals. So that is why it's important that you have to protect yourself and know what you're spraying, when to spray, so that the wind, that drift don't get back to you.
Yes.
So that's the
Quincy,
whole important stuff.
Anything you want to add?
Well, a few things that I would like to expound on. Three major things that why importance of regulating pesticides. We have the importance of food safety and public health. Pesticide board are a group of individuals who specialize in environment, agriculture, health, the private sectors for importers, customs, here and seaport. They come together and they make certain decisions on which pesticides are safe to enter the country. And for instance, one criteria that we judge on is about chemical residues on crops. And the reason why chemical residues is important, it prevents acute poisoning, and that leads to long-term health risks from hazardous and banned substances. So we regulate those. Second point that we like to touch on is the environmental protection. Some pesticides, they might be able to leach in the soil and contaminate our groundwater that Mr. Amory mentioned. They can contaminate our coral reefs and our soil. And some of them might be toxic to pollinators such as bees. And we have certain databases that judge to say, based on peer review studies, to say, all right, XYZ pesticide, they were bad, and based on our scenario, we make certain decisions to protect the environment. Also, the ecosystem defense. Once a pesticide is passed, it is deemed that it is good and environmental. Some of them are we mostly stress on promoting environmentally friendly pesticides, biological pesticides. And these pesticides are effective in preventing invasive plant pests, such as you have your worms, might be eating down your cabbage. You could spread them on safely onto the plants and they'll be effective. However, you still have to use your protective gears to be on the safe side.
Cool. So what are the procedure if one wants to bring in pesticides, and how do they register and stuff like that? How does this work?
Okay, so the first procedure, you want to come to the Department of Agriculture, state what type of pesticide you would like to import, whether it is a herbicide, insecticide, fungicide. The list that we have in our database that says that it is that you can import it. Once it's on that list, you're able to have apply for a pesticide license. You have to know the chemical name, such as ABC pesticide, the form it is in, whether it is in a powder form, granular form, liquid form, the active ingredient, which is the killing power of that pesticide, and that active ingredient has to line up with our list. For instance, if we have ABC pesticide and it's 2% active ingredient, your pesticide has to be the exact 2% active ingredient. Once also, you have to let us know the amount you want to bring in and the intention of usage. Once you have that, you're able to apply for the pesticide license. However, if you do not have the pesticide on the list, there's a registration form that you can fill out to get your pesticide registered. So this pesticide, similar to the licensing form, but it goes into a little more in-depth. So you have to have STD sheets, which is safety data sheets. And these safety data sheets tells the board what to bring in, whether it's how the pesticide react, whether if it's safe for the environment, safe for human health, and the board will go and verify that. And once everything goes well, you're able to apply for the license.
So to clarify some things there to Bankie, this is something that the board has been trying to curtail quite some time. I know over at customs, there are a lot of chemicals that are being held over there. For the simple reasons that persons, as I said, may go on Amazon or whatever, food that they want to bring in chemicals, and they will just order. They sit chemical message, just as Quincy said, because they read the label and they say it's good for this crop or that crop, good for this pest, that pest. But the underlying thing is that unless you follow the label direction properly, you may find yourself in problems. Many a times, there are some chemicals that we had used years ago, but they're now being phased out because over the years they find that it's being bad for our health. They were very good, but right now, when you're using them, you're basically poisoning yourself. So they have stopped it. They stopped using them. That is where they go on the ban list. And so we are taking them off and more promoting plant-based chemicals. The registration, and that is what we are trying to let persons know. Before you decide to bring in a chemical, you could do your own little basic research. You must contact the pesticide board. As Quincy said, you come to the Department of Agriculture, you get your form, you apply that you're registering for this thing, but you must have your material data sheet. We, from the pesticide board, there's a group of us within the board who will do the evaluation. And this evaluation takes some time. So you can't just come and say you want this you bring this pesticide, you want it tomorrow. The evaluation process has to proceed to go. And it means that we have to look at, let's say, Canada, what is being done. We go global and see the tests that they did with them. We have to look at the water, the resources, what you call the minimum residual effect that Quincy spoke about. because sometimes you spray certain things and it stays in the food for quite some time. I know because there are cases, I know a case happened here where a person sprayed. Unfortunately, the daughter didn't know what's going on. She went and she picked the fruit and ate it. Then her whole face swelled up. So we have to be careful. We have to understand, we as farmers, once you're applying pesticides, you have to know everything basically about it. And because we are aware that some farmers, they spray today, they harvest today, they make their money, but then to the end, it's you, the consumer, who will be feeling the end effects of everything. So we have to be very, very careful.
But that is crazy, Mr. Amika. These farmers have done all the workshop and most of the workshop with agriculture, with Quincy and with other stuff. So why would people do stuff like that? Is it for money?
Well, that is one of the things that I've realized happen. And we've been trying to tell persons, listen to me, you don't use those pesticides. That is a dangerous one. I remember a young lady called me concerning some bees that the neighbor just sprayed her place, but it was a niconoid. And all her bees, when they went out there, half her colony didn't come back. So those are the things we have to look at, because bees are important to us. When you're looking at your cucumbers, the pumpkin and so on,
Yes.
the mango trees, whatever, yes. Those are the things that pollinate these things. So it's so much, yes. Many things that it's just not the little butterfly. You have to think about what else it will affect. You who doing organic farming, the earthworms in your farm.
Yes.
If that wash off and go into and it kills the earthworm, then your soil is just being degraded. So all of those little things we have to think about before we grant that permission to register that pesticide. So it's not that we don't want people to use them. When we look at them and we said it can help, we're like, boy, yes, but is the dangers to you, to the earth, that we have to think of as well. It may pass on one end but fail on the other. And we have to think about it.
Mr. Amory, listening to you and Quincy talking and the seriousness of what you're speaking here, why can't something like this be pre-recorded? The importance of what you're saying to our food security and to our soil and for the bees, and be played on each and every major, and just when they have the news time coming up and just different interval, because this is very, very serious. You see what I mean? Because this boils down to our liberty and everything within the environment. So this is things like this should be on the air and the radio station because what you have is the perfect thing to be on the air.
I am hoping that a lot of persons and the powers that be are listening to this. I know my chair may get upset, but for years, Bankie, we have been operating under the budget of the Agriculture Department. And you know, when it comes to agriculture,
the pesticide board, you mean?
Pesticide board is operating under the Department of Agriculture. And you know,
I didn't know that.
You know, because sometimes you will say, but I need this, I need that. But if there's no monies to do certain things. Okay, you see what we are doing here.
I'm ready to say, the pesticide board and the agriculture budget?
It's under the budget of agriculture. We are now trying to get our separate budget to help.
I thought you had your separate area. I own budget by yours. I didn't know.
Unfortunately, so that is the reason why we are happy. We are happy, very, very happy that you are hosting us tonight, so that a wider audience can get to know, because we have been trying to come on the air. Sometimes when we say, okay, we listen, we want to go on the air, and then budget money is here.
You can't go on the air. No, come here all the time. You come in here for free all the time. Come as much as I want. I want to talk. So I disturb me all the time.
this is the situation. And, you know, we are real happy that we can do this because cases of you know, when persons come and say, oh man, I brought in this chemical and I can't get it, it's because you bought it in illegally. You know, you just went, you bring it in, it's over at the port, there's no license, and then when we check it, it causes cancer. I will bring this to you because even in my research for some chemicals to approve, there was a chemical that was used in the United States for Irish potato production. Very good. But over time, because it was so good, it accumulated in the soil. And they realized that children were being affected, being born deformed. So when they dig the deep dive, they realized it's because now it reached into the water system. So as much as that chemical was so good for them, they had to ban it. And those are the things that we in a little small country like Nevis, think it's Nevis, have to be concerned of. If the big guys ban something, we now have to say, boy, if they can ban it out here, we don't have the machinery to test everything. We have to work along with them. Once they ban it, we can't get it because it's banned from coming in. Remember, as the song said, we import a lot of things. So if it's banned over there or if it's restricted over there, we can't get it because the conventions that we are onto, we can't move chemicals from point A to point B without affecting, like the Rotterdam Convention, where you have to say, okay, we are moving chemical A to chemical B, to island B. You have to have that arrangement with customs and everything to get that done. So we have to be very, very careful when we are doing our assessments. And there are some of them, because of the nature of it, we may say, yes, you can use them, but you have to follow the label instructions. You have to follow the label instruction. And a lot of persons tend to feel that if they say use 10 millimeters, 10 mils of a pesticide per gallon, they say more is the merrier, they turn it over. So they're doubling the concentration, and then you now have to eat that food because there's no way we can do a testing on all of that. I mean, Bankie, you were here when we created the lab.
The bio SL lab, of course, definitely.
Yeah. And that was for that purpose. That purpose was to get Quincy. That time Quincy had went. We had sent Quincy out to test those things, the carbamates and the organophosphates that we used to be using. You know, because
and even encouraging farmers to sign up to get their own barcode, and was a good program. It was a very good program. Yes.
So that is what we still want to let people understand, that it's not that we don't want persons to use pesticides to prevent anybody from doing it, but it's to have to use it responsibly. You know, that's the whole idea. So that is why the carbamates, the simple 7 that persons are using right now, you know, that's a carbonate that they're phasing out the use of slowly.
I'm glad you mentioned 7, because most people listening to you got 7 on the zinc. That's a Caribbean thing, normal thing. Just 7 all on the door, all on the window, up and down the place.
So right now that falls under that group, the carbamates, that where it's being phased out slowly. It's being phased out slowly. I believe a couple of years ago, when they were doing some work down at the Treasury, remember that they said, boy, down there smell high with malathion?
Yes.
And that was one of the pesticides that actually was off the market, because of that strong smell, the cancerous nature of it. And so we have to be very careful when we assessing chemicals, pesticides, whether it's an insecticide or fungicide. We have to look at all of that, our health, environmental health, how it will be affecting if there's a lot of residual activities on it, how long it will take before it reaches the market, etc. How long it will phase out of the plant. So in terms of a quarantine aspect, take for instance right now, the Plant Quarantine Act. I still keep informed with these things, Bankie.
Of course, well, I figured that. I figured that you are already, so you're not going to change. You're not going to change,
So the Plant Quarantine Act,
you want to get better?
The Plant Quarantine Act is so important that with the outbreak on those lettuce plants, the cyclospora, we have the Quarantine Act is there to help prevent those things, because if person's not looking at them, if the quarantine personnel isn't up to date with what's happening outside there, so now listen to me. This thing is coming in, next thing all of us get sick because all of us want our lettuce and everything, our salads. So
Yes.
that is why we, as farmers and as directors, etc., quarantine, asking persons to grow their own, because they know what they put on them. They know that, okay, lettuce is 21 days, 28 days, depending on what you're doing. So you can't use it, you don't know what's going on outside there. So we have to be careful. So everybody is frightening now just to eat. You see lettuce coming in, the buy may want none. So the importers who don't bring it, they're not worried whether they don't get the lettuce sell or not. So we have to be careful. So these are things to prevent the invasive species. We talk about the Cuban frog came in on a lot of things years and years ago. The snakes, everything. So that is what the quarantine, the customs, and everybody. So the Quarantine Act is helping to protect the country. So we have to be cognizant of the importance of these regulations and of the pesticides and the imports and the process that obtaining a license have to go through. You must first register chemical. You see the chemical, you like the chemical, or you read about it, but apply for it to be registered first. Let us go through the process of evaluating it.
Is there a fine when someone smuggling the chemicals that is not on the board? How does that, or they just take it away?
Well, we just take it away. Unfortunately, or I will say fortunately, and that is presently being reviewed by the federal government right now, the Pesticides and Chemical Management Bill. And it's being reviewed of 2022. You see how much years ago we are already trying to amend it? About 4 years ago. It's still before them, and it is bringing in the obligations of the treaties, the Stockholm Convention, the Rotterdam, the Montreal Protocol, and all those conventions. And we are hoping that the regulations, as you mentioned, that the fines, because we have been talking about that, but until these laws are actually entrenched, are passed, the old laws are there. You just confiscate them. But then when you confiscate them, then we have another problem. The problem of disposal. I believe you were here years ago when we had to pack up a lot of them over to the dump. and then we wait until we get permission from FAO and all these things to get them transported out of the country. So all of those things are very important. But sometimes the frightening thing is when we had them pack up over there, you see persons still eating breakfast and lunch next to them. You understand? So the money needs to be big deal for us to have proper control of these things. Okay?
Yeah, I just want to interject a little bit here, right? For one or two reasons. I'm loving the conversation because I did some training myself in that regards a couple of years ago. Well, a couple sound like it's a short time, but I think it was back in 2012. Also, there was this workshop in St. Lucia to deal with basically that, pesticide, PPE. And so all of these things in terms of, the clothing, the different types of mask, because sometimes people may just wear a mask, but then there are different types of masks that has, different toxicity levels, different color codes that represent the kind of pesticide or chemicals that, they can withstand and so on. So all that in itself is a whole other education. But before we get into that, there's a little question I want to highlight, and it's based on a comment that I see here as well. He says, good night. The discussion seems to view pesticide as inorganic in nature. It would be good to hear their views on organic pesticides such as neem oil, safe, natural options to deal soft body pests. So that in itself is a little twist on it as well, because they are the move now to deal with a lot more of those such types of pesticide, whether it's neem oil and or other such
Plant-based. Plant-based.
Yes. So I don't know which one of you would want to take up that.
I mentioned that earlier that we are trying to encourage more plant-based pesticides. Maybe I don't know if the person understood or maybe I spoke too fast on that. But we are pushing more plant-based pesticides. As a matter of fact, any workshop that I attend to or deal with at this point in time, I encourage persons to do their own home-based pesticides. I think Bankie himself had come up because in one workshop, I remember one lady said, "Oh, but Bankie, they tell us to use, little the pepper spray, the garlic spray, and those things." And it's important because these things are what we are now seeing being promoted by even big factories, that they're now going to like cinnamon,
Yes. Orange peel and them things
orange
there. Mixing
peel,
orange peel.
those
Yeah.
things. So there's that movement towards it. I remember years ago when the talk came up about the glyphosate, that we had a herbicide based on vinegar. I remember trying it out to the back of this building here where we are right now. And it works. The thing
Yes.
about having vinegar is that it would affect the soil eventually because it can change the pH balance if you use too much of it. So you have to know your concentration. It works. I will tell you that it works. And I saw in Barbados, I think Barbados and Jamaica it was, where persons were actually using like a flamethrower to do some weeding. So the organic pesticides can work, but you have to know when to spray them. You can't mix pepper spray and go in the middle of the damn spray, because if pepper burn your skin, you're gonna burn the plant.
True.
So you have to understand when to use them. You can do your own. The neem trees all around the place. Remember, the thing is that it's not we don't have the concentration when you make it for yourself. So you don't know if you add 1 ounce of this in 4 ounces of that, that ratio. So the concentration when you do your own will be different from a store-bought one. But that can work. So you just have to understand what you're doing. You spread them early in the, as they always will tell you, spray a small section first to see the effect before you actually spray your whole field. And also organic pesticides are on the increase at this moment. Yes, the board.
Quincy, all right. If someone is listening and looking something that is safe, that is plant-based, what can you recommend for them to use that the agriculture department sells, protecting their crop?
So at the Department of Agriculture, we have a lot of environmentally friendly chemicals that are botanical based, that are biological based. When we're talking about the botanicals, we're talking about things derived from plants, such as we have bioneem. They can get the bioneem, delta M, and the biologicals. You have humectane, that's a plant bacteria, a soil bacteria. We have UBT, that's a soil fungi that are good for specializing controlling worms. We have Phyton 27, that's a copper-based fungicide that able to control many diseases such as powdery mildew, downy mildew, damping off. We have BioLife, that's a bacteria / viricide pesticides. And we have herbicides such as the Woeful Hill, which is a post pesticide that is a broad-based spectrum pesticide. So those are the things you can get at Yahsonn Harry at the Department of Agriculture, Prospect.
A question, Quincy.
Yahsonn.
Well, and Mr. Amito can respond as well. In relation to the fact that we are seeing the increase in greenhouse production, and there is plans on the way for even more greenhouses to be constructed. Are there any thoughts and education that is being done in terms of considering integrated pest management, like in the sense of using more like other pests to destroy other pests, and where you're bringing in other different insects at maybe different levels and stages? Is that something that is considered, or you think that might be too costly to get involved in? But at least the education, at least.
No, it's not. Years ago, I believe you may remember when we had the outbreak of whitefly and mealybug on hibiscus, okras, and all those things were affected. And I'm certain that right now, if you're looking at the bee bush around the place, you see all those mealybugs and so on and them. Years ago, we had brought in Cleospora. It was a bug that was eating them, a natural enemy. And those are things that we can promote. I spoke to Quincy just maybe a month ago about bringing in some of those bugs again. Because the ladybug, the dragonfly, the lady beetle, ladybird beetle, all of those, there's a technochid wasp that actually will go. If you, I don't know if you actually see like one of those big tomato hornworms, and you see it has some white, like egg shape on top, eggs on the top its back. That is because it has been parasitized. Once they get stung, they don't feed because that insect, the eggs, are actually like feeding on top of them. So you see them moving, but they're off the feed. So we can bring in, or we can encourage the Department of Agriculture to bring in that, but we had brought in those years and years ago. But because of the quantum spraying, everybody spray kill everything, you know. Yes, I'm looking at the screen here, and FAO has been working with the Sinkers Nevis, especially within the greenhouses, and I've been looking at the insect nets, the netting around it, the different grades of netting. And even with that, to prevent insects from coming in, we also have to think, because we are in the tropics, we still have to think about the airflow. And Bankie will know about that.
Of course.
But he was one,
Yes.
he was one who was putting down the greenhouse. And we remember we had some netting there, and you go underneath that and it's still cooking.
Yes, sweat.
But he had to go on the top and say, Bankie, now we're gonna have to go and vent these things here. So the screens that you use, we have to be able to balance that from what's going on in temperate countries to what's happening outside here in the tropical areas. You still want that airflow, because you may use a screen that is so fine that insects can't come through. But then you can be farming comfortably underneath there because it's blocking the breeze too as well. So that balance we have to work with. All right? Yes, it's kind of expensive, but we have to. You're talking about certified organic farming programs, and I'm certain that FAO will be willing to do that. Earlier, somebody asked about testing of foods. I think that the multipurpose lab in Sinkits is working along on that area. As I mentioned earlier, once they get the machinery in place, they will be doing some testing, especially with testing of the water. That was the purpose of the lab that we had here at the Agriculture Department, to test the residues on the farms for the carbamates, the organophosphates, and so on, to see that when farmers spray and when the harvest, Quincy used to go collect and test to see the residues on those food before they actually carry them into the marketplace. And that was the purpose of that lab. So those are things that needs to be upgraded. Again, when I say upgraded, bring back on stream, because it's very important. And promote organic farming, because if you are healthy, if you're eating healthy, then you don't get sick so much. But if the ground is empty, you need to be feeding it on inorganic fertilizer all the time. The plants themselves, you get a big boost, but they don't sustain it. And the Bankie push that there all the time. Organic, we throw away a lot of weeds, we harvest them, we throw them in a corner, but we don't go back and make a compost out of them to feed back the soil. And there's where it starts, So these are things that we have to get back into to ensure, and in that way, we'll be reducing our dependency on pesticides, because the trees are going stronger, they're able to withstand the insects more, your threshold level will drop, So then you don't have to be using too much pesticides. There's a flight response. If you have an ants, I think mostly sometimes those sugar ants, you kill a sugar ants. And because of the pheromone it releases that all the rest scatter. And those are things that could happen with pests. Some persons crush them up and put them there. Once they smell that, they don't come. So those farming techniques, what you call cover crops, trap crops, that you trap all your pests in one region and then you can just go and spread that little area on them as the case may be. All of that helps to reduce the amount of pesticides that you will be using onto your crops that you are trying to get to the market. So yes, Safari, that is important.
Yeah.
We're
We're gonna give you and Quincy a break. We're gonna go into a break and then we'll come back and we're gonna discontinue the discussion. But this discussion is something that it definitely need to be on all the radio station in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, the importance, and even throughout the Caribbean, because this gonna benefit the surrounding islands. It is very important that the things you of on a regular basis and a daily basis, because the job that you and Quincy is doing and others, I think that it's all is overlooked the importance of our survival and the environment. And for that, I want to thank you guys enough for being here and sharing this information, because it need to be heard more and more and more. And hopefully y'all get your own budget where you all can function how you all need to function in that capacity. So technician will take a break and then we'll be right back.
Thank you.
When comfort, class, and reliability matter, choose the ride that delivers more. Imperial Rides Transportation Services, where every journey is treated like royalty. From airport transfers, private events, shopping trips, island tours, and executive travel, Imperial Rides moves you in style, clean, comfortable, on time, every time. Book your premium taxi or tour. When comfort, class, and reliability matter, choose the ride that delivers more. Imperial Rides Transportation Services, where every journey is treated like royalty. From airport transfers, private events, shopping trips, island tours, and executive travel, Imperial Rides moves you in style, clean, comfortable, on time, every time. Book your premium taxi or tour service today. Call or WhatsApp 869-665-8459 or email elandflavas@gmail.com. Imperial Rides Transportation Services. Your journey, our priority.
Check Shabazz Organics if you want delicious mangoes.
Mangoes all day sounds like a plan for me.
Oh, everybody, Nevis mango, them let me know what you're doing to me. Sweet, everybody, oh, everybody, the sweet.
Come and get your carambola, star fruit, make very nice drink. Can come pick them yourself. All the trees them full of vitamin C, antioxidant, build up your immune system. Mine's the last stop. A whole shopping bag for only $10. Half a shopping bag for $5. If you get $2, you must get some. Come get your carambola. Don't want to go to wait. Let's go, people. Beat the summer heat. Come and get your carambola, star fruit, make very nice drink. Come pick them yourself. All the trees them full of vitamin C, antioxidant, build up your immune system. Mine's the last stop. A whole shopping bag for only $10. Half a shopping bag for $5. If you get $2, you must get some. Come get your carambola. Don't want to go to wait. Let's go, people.
At Shabazz Organics, we believe real people deserve real food. So we're bringing you to Mansa's Last Stop, a farm where food barriers are removed and legacy is sustained. We believe there's power in picking, so we allow you to decide what leaves the farm and enters your kitchen organically. At Shabazz Organics, we believe real people deserve real food. So we're bringing you to Mansa's Last Stop, a farm where food barriers are removed and legacy is sustained. We believe there's power in picking, so we allow you to decide what leaves the farm and enters your kitchen organically.
Yes, and tomorrow at Mansell's Last Stop to get your shark and bakes for breakfast. You got breadfruit and steamed fish. You got chicken soup, and for lunch, you got the car meal and fish with oxtail or chicken, stew oxtail, chew chicken, Creole fish, steamed fish, rice and peas, breadfruit cheesy, fried plantain, sweet potato. Boy, Amanis and Aisha really setting up you guys, man. And remember, you can take orders from Sinkit, we put them over on the island and send them over and meet them at Reggae Beach over there. So just call those numbers on the screen 661-7627 and 662-5683 for the best soul food in St. Kitts Nevis. Guarantee. Finger licking. All right, and we are back. I'm going to thank you all for tuning in to the Real Entertainment Network and here on this Friday evening of the Everything Agriculture Show. Our guest this evening is the Pesticides Board, former Director of Agriculture, Mr. Amory, and the Head of Quarantine Division, Mr. Quincy Bart. This topic is very, 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 very important because for our food security, we definitely have to do things in a safe way and also for protecting our water source. And we are a very small island. We have look around, we have the seawater there. And as Mr. Ami said, a lot of contamination can happen, which happen in other areas around the world and stuff like that. So we don't want to end up in those situations where we end up and getting ourselves very because our water table become contaminated, especially we are high areas in the mountain and what as runoffs can happen on all these things. So Quincy, I know earlier Mr. Amory spoke about the BioSL lab where Quincy have been doing some testing. Yes. While I was doing those testing, how was the testing program going? And when it come to for those carbonates and stuff like that, when you're in the lab, how was some of the feedback?
It was an excellent initiative where my team be able to go out in the fields, interact with the farmers, take samples that they harvest and able to run it through the lab and able to get test results at a reasonable time. We used to test for carbamates, organophosphates, and a few fungicides. We also conducted workshops with the farmers along with the nation of Taiwan, and we were able to let the farmers know the hazards of certain pesticides and also be able to get them a certified program, so they had a plaque that they could show to their customers, and this plaque indicates to them, their customers, that they are approved. They also got stickers where they can use to label their product, and yes. Each farmer had a code, so there's certain traceability to it. But as time goes by, the technology increased, and COVID had came, and a few other things transpire, and we were unable to get updated with the project.
It's a beautiful program, and I had love when the program was going on and stuff like that. And I think it's something definitely should be worked on to be back in place. And we would have my own barcode. Other farmers just don't have their own barcode. So you can say, well, even if I could sell to 10 different vendors, and I could say, oh, I only sell to Yahsonn. You see what I mean? And so at the same time, you can say, well, this happened. Okay, well, it's not mine. Which you don't want nothing to happen. But what is all about safety. And it's a beautiful initiative. Mr. Ami, that was started under you, and I hope it's something that more emphasis can be put into it, because we were leading with that, and that was something I was very, very happy about. And so that lab needs to be back up and running. But the question is, I know a lot of people in the Federation of St. Kitts Nevis usually import pesticides, food, seeds, and all kind of different stuff, and they just figure, well, they don't have to go to China. Are they breaking the law? What should happen? What is their procedure for this? Even importation of seeds when they go on a vacation and they just bring back all kind of stuff, dark food they bring in and chicken feed. What is the procedure for these things?
So it is some series of steps that have to go put in place. First, you have to have your documentation. Documentations are very, very important. They're certified. These documents state that you're certified to either import or export these.
Okay, hold a minute there, Quincy. Hold a minute. I just want to let the listening audience know the lines is open in case they want to ask you or Mr. Amory any question that about and stuff like that. So just want to put that in. All right. Sorry about that. Go ahead, Quincy.
Yeah. So, for instance, let's talk about pesticide. You have to have a license before you can even order this stuff first. So we encourage people to get the license, then you order. Things like seeds now. There's a seed list that Department of Agriculture has, and you can order it, any of these on the approved list before you order. However, if you have a seed company that is not on the list, you can apply to let it for it to get on the list. And we do a series of tests and research to see if it's legitimately could be exported. So those are some of the things. Documentation is very, very important. And then after you get your documentations in place, we have to have proper packaging and labeling. For instance, you got your documentations to bring in your pesticide ABC. It has to be in an appropriate package in its original form. So if ABC comes in an aluminum canister, the time it reaches here, it has to be in an aluminum canister. You don't want to see it in a plastic bottle and mark on ABC pesticide. That's a no-go. Also, the language. Our language is predominantly English, so all labels must be in English. So that is very, very important. And things like for seeds now, you have to be in a package, a suitable package. Have to have on the label, have to have on the germination figure, whether it is 90%, 80%, and you have to have on saying it is on the list. So it is ABC company and the ABC company. Things like such as we reject certain seeds, such as some clients seeds come in a clear plastic, and that's a no-go. Some comes in a clear plastic with no label, a paper bag, or if you eat some seeds from the label, you just pack it in. You don't have a phytosanitary certificate. You cannot.
So, question, Quincy. I noted you said that in relation to the seeds, you said that you guys have a list of seeds that folks can import. how accessible is that list? Is it just accessible to farmers, or is it available to everybody? Is there some way that the average folks can get to see this list so that they don't have that problem of bringing in things that they shouldn't?
Yes, it's very accessible. You can get it requested from the Department of Agriculture, plant quarantine, and you're able to get the seed list. It's updated every few months, and we're able to get it to you and put you on our list, be able to send it to you, whether if it's WhatsApp, email. We also have it in our Facebook page as well. What you could call, the quickest way, you could call the Department of Agriculture and it will either email or WhatsApp it to you, whichever one you prefer. And then coming back to the question now, the last thing is port inspection. Once your products reach, whether if it's seeds, pesticides, hot flowers, etc., you let the officer know ahead of time. You say, all right, in Monday, my stuff coming at X place, whether if it's done by the courier, by the post office, long point, the officer comes to inspect and verify, and then you deal with customs and you will get products. So that's the procedure.
Quincy, I know the cost of these licenses is your cost. When people hear about these things, they might tend to panic. They might be turned away. So what are the costs?
These are costs for any import permit is $5 EC. For the pesticides now, for one pesticide, it costs $50. So if you want to bring in 5 different pesticides, that's 50 times 5, that's 250, etc.
So the question, why is it so cheap?
However, the registration is free. Remember, I told you that.
Free thing. $5 for permit. What kind of thing this?
Yeah.
Supermarket will laugh after. Everybody laugh after us. $5 for permit? Really?
Well, we have updated our.
Revamping, man. This is revamping, Amory.
Well, we have updated our laws, and we just plan quarantine St. Kitts and Nevis. We're just waiting to come together on an even feel and do some changes. But the laws have been updated. We already have stakeholder meetings, and stakeholders know what's going on. So there's a dialogue going on right now.
No, let me make sure this, So if I have a supermarket, I may bring in cabbage, however, and the permit is what, $5? No matter how much cabbage we bring in.
Yes, man.
So you have to be comedy, man. I need them from this. You're telling me I importing all these watermelon and tomatoes. I'm gonna pay $5? Really? Okay.
Bankie,
you need your own budget. You need your own budget too, boy. You need your own budget, and I think you need a lawyer in the office too. You need also attach a lawyer in your office to speed up these things. And this makes no sense.
No, well, that is something that, well, because you used to be in charge over that field there. Over the years what we used to do, because by law you can't really prevent importation because of if you say, well, I have. So that is why we always used to promote buy local.
Yes.
So when you buy local, we encourage persons to support the local thing. What we used to do, what we used to do is to, if you as a farmer, the farmer is a farmer, and the extension officers goes out and realize that you have 20,000 pounds of this product, and rams normally bring in 20,000 pounds. The duty of the extension officer is to go to rams and say, rams, listen to me. Safari, Shabazz, Bankie have these things available. And we would like you to support the local farmers. So we are asking you to reduce the amount of things that you're bringing in, such that the local farmer can find a market. That's what we used to do. And I am hoping that it continued in that way, because we used to get cooperation from the importers, when we tell them, listen me. But the thing is, you have to let them know on time. And that is why we always encourage the farmers to be consistent in their production. Don't try to plant everything one time, but have specialities. If you know you're dealing with cabbage and you're a good cabbage farmer, then you know you're set, because all cabbages, we can tap you as the department to deal with that. We say, listen, we try to set you up with rams, whatever, such that they will be buying your product all the time. So that is where the extension officers used to come in handy to make sure that they provide that information on time, such that it can go to the importers. Listen me, we may be getting a bumper crop of pumpkin next month. So there's no watermelon, for example, because I'm seeing a lot of watermelons coming in from foreign, and I was like, but those are something that we had shut down,
Yes.
So we need to get back to that we can be able to supply our market. The farmers have to be understanding that if one thing's on the local market is the customers should buy, because if they couldn't be bringing in a certain amount of watermelon, I mean, there's a need for watermelon here in the country, and our farmers supply. So that is what we have to deal with. Again, is the pricing, because they're bringing in your lab bills and so on. If they're bringing them in cheap, you as the farmer have to look at your cost of production and say, listen me, this is what I'm producing at, and sell it as a competitive price. It's being local, you know exactly what's happening. And so on, I saw you advertising there, and your shelf look real good. So those are the things that we encourage. Let persons know that we can produce as good as or even better than what things are being brought in, and we can get them sold as well. So that is where all of this food security comes into play. You just have to let them know that we are capable of supplying the local market,
Yes. So Quincy, yes, Quincy, can you hear me?
Before you question Quincy, I just wanted to take a minute and get in some of the comments on the wall. So Quincy, hold 1 second. Rusty says, listening for a short while. That's on the Facebook side. Ras Original Lyrics says, greetings to the panel. Rusty says, there's a lot of things that we need to study, considering, and properly managing within the field and production of all our agricultural department. We also need to enforce the proper ways of producing agricultural products and laws to protect the public. I have to run now, but one last point I would like to address. Do we monitor and test all imported fruits and imported vegetables to ensure these imported products does not harm our citizens as well? I will listen on the tape show for the answers. Thanks. Lovely show. Bye for now. Okay, that's Rusty Liebert over on the YouTube side. Selwyn Libert says, I am listening for a short while. Elisha Forbes says, good evening, guys. Oliver Libert says, hi, Kings, good night. All nice to see Quincy. Quincy, how is your bees, bro? Wilfred Pierre says, good night. The discussion, okay, so I think I read that question already. Tekla Selassie says, set up certified, okay, we read that, we look at that already, set up certified organic agriculture training programs. The FAO can assist. We got a couple of questions now from Mighty Servant. Mighty Servant says, question, what percentage, if any, is the sargassum weed being used in Nevis to boost the health of soil, knowing it can be used as organic biofertilizer or stimulant? And the other question, Shabazz, what are you missing about the cost of a permit? Is that no matter what it is set as, the cost will be passed on to the consumers. Okay, I guess that's another point to look at.
Very true. Very
Yeah, that's
true.
another point to look at.
But
Two things.
for whole container things, that make the sense. For whole container, I want to be that tomato for $5. How much cost it put on?
I think maybe like Mr. Amory was alluding to, how well that would have been a personal relationship, so to speak. There's no law in place to say that the wholesalers must purchase from the local farmers first, but you know they would have tried to do that. Well, you could correct me if I'm wrong with that part in terms of no law, but in terms of when we get to that point now where maybe we are able to sustain the market more, then those are things that maybe could be implemented to kind of help to curtail some of the imports if you increase the cost of the same $5 thing that you're talking about, or maybe in an effort to help to curtail that. But yes, and I like the point that Mighty Servant brought in terms of passing it on to the consumer. So that's why it's good to have our listeners and our callers involved, and we always tell you all the show is all about you all as well, and so we encourage you to call in. The number is 662-7196. That's 1-869-662-7196 if you want to call in and weigh in on the discussion. I think it's a very, very important discussion. One of the best 2 hours I've been having in a long time. Listening to these, two professional guys here, Quincy, in terms of the quarantine, and Mr. Amory, all over, because he has been a director of agriculture and he has been involved in agriculture himself personally, and so a lot of wealth of knowledge and history, and he has had a number of years of experience in the agriculture sector, and so we're able to pick their brains this evening, so to speak, and help to inform you, the public, and give you some information that is very, very vital. So I'm hoping that those who are in the ministry, those who can make some changes, people all over the Caribbean are logging. We hope that you guys could really listen, take heed, and share your views and opinions. So Bankie, you could continue with Quincy now. Sorry, I just wanted to interject that a little bit.
No, that's fine. The comment is very important. Let me ask this question, and then you and Quincy can go on this question, Mr. Amory, and you can tap into any other question that comment was based also at the same time. So can I ask this: what is biosecurity, and why should the average citizens care about it or have concern about it? And you can answer any other question you wanted before you answer the question from the comments.
Biosecurity encompasses all measures taken to protect St. Kitts and Nevis from harmful, invasive pests and disease, weeds, and toxic contaminants. So that's the nutshell for biosecurity.
It's actually like deliberate. Sometimes some people know that there's a pest out there that could wipe out something here in St. Kitts Nevis, and they deliberately try to smuggle it in that it can just expand and take over. So that is where the biosecurity comes in. It focus on preventing that thing. So if you know something is out there, you try not to let it come into the country. All right, so you will find that like persons may bring in something that, like for instance, let's say the lionfish, it just came in and it taking over the fishing industry, basically. That is why you now have the fishers them going out there having that program to reduce it.
Catch them.
Remember,
Yes.
yeah, catch them up. Remember we spoke earlier about the mealy bug.
Yes.
The thing, you know. So those are things because some of them you can't help. You know, the wind when we have hurricanes, you know, they bring in all kind of things because they're airborne. But you have to think. But some people may deliberately try and, boy, let me mess up this thing I can bring in, and that is where the quarantine on seeds. I see you were kind of worried about that, Tafari, in terms of the seedless. Sometimes, you know, your seed is where the plant is come, the health. So if you do not have a certified seed, or that seed is resistant to certain diseases and whatever, or it has a new disease that we don't know about and it's not tested, and that comes into the country, then you have an explosion of something new to you that by the time you take step to look at it, it already wipe out your crop. You know? And it is important to know when your seed is coming in, that is coming from somebody certified. You may eat an apple or something, and you say, boy, this thing here tastes good. You spit the seed in a paper bag, you put it in your pocket and all. But you don't know the control, the disease that it may bring in. If it has a pest, if that seed have a pest, the mango seed, for instance.
Yes.
You have a nice whole mango, but the pest is inside that. So you're smuggling that from somewhere about because you like the mango, but it has a weevil right in the seed. And when you outgrow that, that comes out now, and then the whole country wants to go where this pest come from. You understand? So that is where the biosecurity comes in. Now, I just want to clarify something. The $5 is actually for the import license, the licensing itself. You come, you get that license. But remember, custom has their tariffs for the different crops, the different commodities that they bring in. So the tariffs will take care of, you know, those imports. Now the licensing, you laugh for $5 to bring in $50 for these things, and those are the things that the new law is trying to look at. You mentioned earlier at the top of the program, if I bring in something that is unregulated, what is the fine? So those are things that are being discussed at this moment. What is the fine? I know in discussions, persons may say, boy, some people, if you hit them at $2,000, then they would never bring it in again. You know, but you have to think about the populace, not the money is around, but you need to stop it. And I am happy for this because we just getting posters, to make posters is costly, and to put the posters at the ports of entrance is important for us. But even to do that, it's costly. And unfortunately, you know, the budget isn't there. Sometimes, you know, you say, boy, I'd like to make a big poster. I will say, Quincy, who made this? Who made this? How much you pay for? So we from the Department of Agriculture have to do things like this. You know, you get a little money and you try and do it because this is for, like, especially persons who bringing in pesticides. They don't understand what these signs mean. And if you notice under these signs, because we know these are one of the things that we look at. Besides a harmonized system. Health, if you look at health, you see carcinogenic, mutagenic, reproductive toxicity, respiratory, etc. So when you're looking at a chemical, and we look at that, hold it back up, Quincy. We look at all of that nature. So we try and make signs within the budget, and most of the time these are things are done when we have agricultural open day, because then you got a little money flowing around that you could get and put up some of these signs. But we want a lot of these here to go on billboards around the
Of course.
island, and the port,
Yes.
the
Yes.
port of
All
entrance.
by the only port of entry where a lot of traffic is there. Yes.
So persons could say, listen, when you go out, don't bring back in these things unless you go to, you go to these things. But you have to wait. We have to wait until there's some program coming up that you get a little change to do it. So we try our best, what we can, and at least from this talk show here now, persons will understand there's a procedure. You must come to the Department of Agriculture, prevent yourself from getting into problems. I know some persons, they may have a family outside and they pack in a box. And the box ain't full, and they look around and well, let me throw in a couple of these things inside here just to fill up the box. You know? But when they reach in here, you find that they needed an import permit or license to bring them in, so they're just confiscated. So that is why, you know, if this is out there in the community and else in the diaspora, the persons will understand you just don't throw any and anything in a box to send back here, because it just may be wasting your money. So we are trying to regulate all those things. We hoping that the new law will get looked at and passed quickly. And with programs like these, that we can educate the populace and the wider diaspora about the need to prevent the importation and reduce the importation of these and the use of these dangerous pesticides. We still have a long way to go, but I'm hoping that the community could rally around buying local stuff such that the farmers themselves can feel comfortable producing more, because they know that they will be able to get their stuff sold. You know?
Yes.
These are things that I know worked. And I don't think there's too much of a problem bringing them back on stream. You know, the agro-processing plant, when we have a glut, we have the agro-processing plant now is trying to get things, you know, together, package it so that we don't have to depend too much on things coming in from outside, and our entrepreneurs could develop. Okay. Somebody talk about organic farming. Okay, I think there was one about the testing. I think Quincy addressed that. We don't do that, but I know there are plans by the multipurpose lab in St. Kitts to start doing testing of these things. I think they said they want to start with the water. So when food come in, that they can start testing them to ensure that persons are not dumping things here in the country. So I know that is one of the things they are working on. Prevent dumping.
When imports come in, we test for pest and disease, a phytosanitary measure to make sure that invasive species entering the country. That doesn't only go for fresh produce. We test for hot flowers. We test for construction aggregates such as sand, stone. We do fresh lumber. We do live plants, whether they're ornamental and fruit trees. So that's That's what we do right now. And I like to reiterate on why citizens should be concerned about biosecurity. One,
Yes.
food security and prices. Pest outbreaks can damage local crops and livestock, leading to food shortages and high grocery prices. Two, economic stability protects the livelihood of local farmers and preserves the natural beauty that drives the island tourism. And lastly, health and safety prevents toxic environment hazards and invasive disease vectors from taking root in local communities.
Beautiful. So, if any one of you before you go, each of you, any advice, any recommendation for those who are listening, homeowners, hoteliers, farmers, businesses, anyone, just the general public who have any interest when it comes to pesticides, importation and agricultural input, what advice would you guys give them?
Well, for me, for the general public, declare all plants, seeds, and soil and food items and chemicals at your borders. For the businesses, ensure all suppliers provide complete safety sheets. And for the farmers, make sure you wear your protective clothing and read your labels and adhere to post-harvest intervals.
I concur with what Quincy said, and I just want to reiterate and concretize that is important, especially when you're dealing with pesticides, before you bring in, before you order, because some persons will order then say, okay, when you come in, I have it, please, before you order any pesticide, contact the Department of Agriculture or the pesticide board to see if that pesticide is on the list. Do not say I have seen it in Oxford, I see it in TDC, I see it wherever. The thing is, you as the farmer do not have a license to bring it in. You do not know if Oxfords or the TDCs have a license to bring it in because they do ask for that. Okay? So any pesticide.
Mr. Amory, that begs for a question because if it is something that the agriculture department, so to speak, is not in favor of having available to farmers, why would still another arm of the government allow other companies, so to speak, to bring in? Because a question was asked earlier to me, was in a private chat though, but they were asking in relation to Zone. And I think I know from your guys' point of view, I don't think you guys sell Zone anymore, but I think some of these other companies that you're talking about may still have it on their shelves. How is this dealt with and why is this allowed?
Okay, now I'm happy that you bring up that. The board, the pesticide board right now is in the process of re-evaluating some of the pesticides that was passed, was on the list. I know within some of the other countries, Canada and so on, they do it every 15 years. They have a review of the pesticide list. And some chemicals that were passed, they are now taking them off the list. They're taking them off the list. So when we realize that, okay, they're taking Zone off the list, they're taking glyphosate off the list, we now have to go and review ours. But remember, maybe these persons have those things in stock. We do not allow them to bring in anything once we already let them know, okay, this is off the list. Don't allow that. Stop it. But Quincy, and the customs department. Those are our border control. You're bringing in a 40-foot container, and unless Quincy empty that container, you don't know what's right up to the top. You know, so sometimes we see this. I know sometimes Quincy call me and tell me, Amory, I see this chemical on the shelf when I went. And I'm like, no. I go and I check them and tell them, listen, you shouldn't have that chemical on the shelf, take it down. You know? But those are the things that Bankie asks about. What do we do after that? We could just ask them to take them out, but so we now have to have that law to back us up to say, listen, we will fine you $1,000, $2,000 if we find you with chemicals that is not being approved for you. That is what we are waiting for. Because anybody will say, listen, you don't have the authority or there's no fine to think, yes, you can take it down. The board has inspectors. So and Quincy is up in Nevis. So if you go around and we see something, I know how you get that come true. Because we know that is not on the list. Okay? And some of them may have old stock in hand that they're trying to get off. And that is where we are now trying to prevent dumping from other countries. The countries may have a lot of these old chemicals on stock and say, but think it's Nevis, so you got not named place where we send all of these to think it's Nevis. You know? So those are the things that we are trying to prevent.
So to some extent, Quincy and the quarantine team still may have to sort of function similar to how what you call it, consumer fears function in a sense, because I am wondering how that part work, because even if we already had it in stock, but we are not allowing that to be used, there should be a way of saying, hey, I mean, even though you would have had this in stock, you cannot put it on the shelf. Whatever is you have to find a way to deal with it. How is that addressed? I mean, well, you mentioned that you'll have to put the laws in place and make that happen. So,
yeah, well, that is a problem. Inspectors, to go around. I know. Okay, take for instance, we are now having an explosion of pest control operators on the island. Before, you may just see somebody, Quincy's pest control. But now we are tightening up because the law speaks to that. You must have a license to operate as a pest control operator. We are in the process, and Quincy is spearheading that right now, to train farmers, to have them certified. When I was in school, I had to be certified in order to even use pesticide on the farm. I had to be certified. I had to have a certificate to prove, to say that I am qualified to use pesticide on the farm. And that is what we are trying. I mean, Bankie will know that over the years, we used to have our little internal training for farmers on the proper use of pesticide, the insect, the pest that target, and so on. So that was it. But now the board is making sure that you have a license, and we are looking at having a certificate for pest control operators, even for farmers, to show that, listen me, I'm a certified farmer and I'm qualified to use X amount of this pesticide. And we'll have restricted pesticides, because if you're not trained in the use of certain pesticides, some pesticides are restricted, some are general use. But like the restricted ones, you must have a license to be able to buy them, and that is what we want the importers, the sellers of them to know, that you must have, the person must show you a license to be able to buy that. It's just like the laws for alcohol. A person shouldn't sell alcohol to a person under 18. But what happens? Somebody go there over 18, say, boy, let me go buy a bottle of rum for somebody under 18. You know, they told them, say, sit down and drink it. You understand? But the thing is, you have to have laws in place such that you could chastise those persons who break the law. And that is what we are working on. So right now we are trying to stop that by ensuring that we have certificate for persons who are applying pesticides.
Guys,
okay. So
go ahead, Amory.
we wrap up now by telling you that it's important for us we are trying to control everything right now. And it will take some time. So I thank you for giving us this opportunity to hear these views, hear what we are trying to do. And thanks for the offer that we can come back time and time again when we have anything to expound on and to ensure that the public understand that we are not trying to take a big stick to them, but trying to protect them from the dangers of the use and abuse of pesticides.
Well, I want to commend you guys on the job you all been doing, and especially because if it's one department which is very serious in agriculture, is quarantine. Quincy don't get some licks because he's to the books, which you have to be to the books, and you have to give him the respect for that. Okay? Definitely he get a lot of licks for that. It shows the reason why he fit this position. Because if you're not, it means we're going to lose our whole ecosystem of one of us. So definitely there are times you have to put people in charge who are definitely to the books and can be firm and say no, they take the works, because it's very serious, because this can affect our whole food security system when it comes to pest and disease and fungus and all these things just entering into our country at the port, at all borders and stuff like that. So Quincy, I mean, no farmers and other entities to be tough on you, but ain't anybody can do the job that you're doing, and that is the thing. We have a lot of invasive species. We talk about the Cuban frogs. We have snakes now, and it would be worse if we don't have somebody tough like him out there. So, as much as he's just doing his job, because he have the things that he have to follow and these laws of the country, and especially he spoke about importing soil, other mediums. You got to come, because importing stuff, a plant and having in soil, you have to make sure in a different medium because of pests that can be in the soil the same way. So sometimes the average person don't think like that, and they wonder, well, how this man, we can't even say go with a tree, but it's beyond that. Is not carrying fungus or bacteria in the next man's place and stuff like that. Even traveling overseas with leaves, with a fruit, quarantine, have to inspect these things and stuff like that. So I gotta commend you guys and really hope your own personal the budget for the pesticide boards, where you all can improve a lot more and do the work that you all really do. So I hope the ministers and the premier himself is listening, and all those who have can make a difference by giving you all your own budget and stuff like that, so you all can function as you are, because you all should really have a vehicle. When people see you all moving around, they go, well, this is the pesticide board, and not it should be out there, and it's just to do, because you guys got to move around. So I move around with I own personal vehicle. I mean, you say you're going to go on, why I go on with it? But that make no sense. So you understand where I'm coming from. So you all definitely, it should be visual and will function much better, and you all citation, give warnings and these things, just like a police, a traffic police and these things, and that's how it should function. So this platform is here for when you all want to use it anytime. Quincy got my number. You know to reach me anytime, because it's always a go. And as you see, the general public is very, very in tune and listening and stuff like that. So Quincy, your last words and anything you want to say to the general public?
Well, we just said enough to the general public, just to the policymakers who have the power to move these laws around. Hear our plea, get these laws passed so we could get these enforced. Please, I'm begging you.
You think Quincy said a mouthful right there? Simple but firm. And that is the right thing to be said. Yahsonn? Yahsonn. You there? I make pause. You make pause, Yahsonn.
Yeah. No, in terms of the show, I want to really, give thanks to Quincy and Mr. Amory. Whenever they do come on the show, it's always some vital information. And I want the public to understand as well. I mean, the public and the policymakers to understand the seriousness of the role that these guys play and quarantine play on a whole. Because agriculture is one of the things that sometimes I think do not get the kind of attention that is needed. And when it comes to what you guys are doing, the doctors take care of you. The doctors take care of you, so to speak, after you get sick. But you guys are like doctors who try to prevent you from getting sick. And people need to understand the seriousness of this, because the farmers are responsible to getting your food to you. Your food is your sustenance. And if some of these practices are not done properly, and Quincy, yes, you might get some beating, but I think as Bankie would have highlighted, if we do much more of this, that education, that coming out and explaining to the people and so on, it would make your work a bit easier as well too, because more people would be informed, more people would better understand why you do what you do, and why when you have to do what you do, it is not necessarily just about them, and you're not trying to punish them, or you're not trying to be hard on them, but you're really looking out for the safety and security of our people on a whole, the nation on a whole. And so I want to thank you all really for the work that you all are doing. We do have, some more comments on the wall and so on, but it's been a wonderful evening. I'm gonna just throw in some of the questions I know that you all will not be able to answer at this point because we're wrapping up. But you all can always go back on the feed and respond to some of them and so on. Mighty Servant question: do you think that the U.S. drug control and prevention program in the 70s and 80s of the harmful chemical paraquat to spray marijuana plants today still have effects on our water, soil, and plant life? Wilfred Pierce says in St. Lucia, we have officers on the ports and they have the authority to confiscate any chemical on our no import list. He also says, great show. This brings back memories of my time as an extension officer and a permanent secretary in agriculture. Great show by the gentleman. Wilfred Pierre says again, what about pesticide in animal health and the use of ivermectin as an insecticide? In St. Lucia, it is regulated for use only by vets. And so you see, I mean, we got our people locked in, the people are in tune, so you guys are not just here and, talking and it's going to the wind. You've got people listening, and we want to thank all of you who have, made a contribution. That is why, even though we're coming at the end, we try our best to at least get in as much of the, comments and calls and so on. We welcome your calls and so on. So thank everybody. Thank you, Mr. Amory. Thank you, Quincy. Thank you, Real Entertainment Network. Thank you, Bankie, for, inviting these brothers and to help to inform the general public. Is what we do here on the platform. Thank you to, all of you who would have made it your business to log in on this Friday evening. You could have been doing anything else, but you opt to give us your time, and we really appreciate it. And we want you to know
that them about next Tuesday show, Yahsonn. Next Tuesday the show.
Well, next week Tuesday we will be back. Well, before on the platform, for those who listen to the platform, on Monday we will have quality time with Alan. Great show. I want you guys to log into that. He usually breaks down a lot of various local, regional, and international topics. One of the programs here. Then Tuesday we're gonna be on, and the topic will be the illegal well, the importation of the 15 guns and the 1,500 ammunition. We have not really heard much about that since, and we're gonna, bring that topic back to the fore and engage the public. We're gonna give you an opportunity to call in and weigh in and all that. So we look forward to having that engagement with you next week, Tuesday. And so be sure to, subscribe to the platform, click on the notification bell so that you're informed every time a program is on. So like, share, click on the notification bell, and we see you guys Monday again on the platform and Real Entertainment Network. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Mr. Amory. Thank you, Mr. Quincy.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much indeed.
Ira? Yeah, man, you're welcome. Great job.
It's everything agriculture with Bankie and Yahsonn. Talking food security, cannabis, farming, livestock, fisheries, and everything agriculture. Every week on Real Entertainment Network. Food security, that's the priority. Plant the food locally, feed the whole community. Everything agriculture, building for the future. Bankie and Yahsonn bringing solutions for the islands and the nation. Too much food coming overseas. One disruption bring the country to knees. One storm, one war, one delay. Supermarket shelves empty same day. So we have to plant more yam and dasheen. Fresh vegetables keep the people clean. Raise more goat, more chicken too. Local farming must come true. Every backyard can grow something.